for this weekend and maybe the next week as well. So no Kindred, but we do start Champion Select, and we start week 2, day 1 of the North American LCS with Impulse vs. Cloud9.
It'll definitely change the strategy a little bit for the pick and ban phase, kind of similar to when Gragas was turned off during the World Championship. It had been a ban for a lot of people and a fairly early pick, so it changes the importance on some of the other champions. Graves, for instance, last week saw an over 80% pick ban rate in the LPL. For whatever reason, the LCK still has a pretty low pick ban rate on Graves, but on Thursday and Friday in the European LCS, whether it was banned in jungle or in top lane, it was 100%.
You're seeing the North American stat being 36.4% right now. Gang playing 100. I don't think we've actually gotten to see him played much in NA. It's been almost entirely bans here.
Absolutely.
So we don't get to see much of him either. The Thresh Tom Kench bans were much less surprised about, though. That guy, those two really have been around for basically ever. And Impulse, of course, on short notice working with the new roster. We'll see just what they can do alongside Seraph, as he's not pulled too many bans himself.
You could consider that as being 3 support bans, even though Tom Kench sees a lot of his play in the top lane nowadays. So they may, aside from just banning the champions that are picked most frequently on support, which is kind of Alistar and Thresh, they may be trying to put Bunny Fufu in an uncomfortable champion situation, so his shot calling distraction will affect his play even more. Because that's actually a super critical thing when you're trying to shot call, or really just playing League of Legends. It's a totally different game depending on the familiarity you have with the champion. How much of your focus goes into pressing your buttons, and how much of it goes into the strategy of the game.
Absolutely true. You only get 100% of mental acuity at a time, and if 80% of it is laning properly, then good luck with the rest. That said, Cloud9 should be able to rely on Rush for at least the early game prowess, prowling the jungle, looking for ganks. We'll see how he does on the Nidalee here. Kalista already picked up for Sneaky as well, so even though many engaged supports are gone, now Sneaky can just send Bunny in anyway, and maybe they can make that work. Second round of picks, though, for Team Impulse, and looking at another support to steal away, so 3 support bans and a fairly early pick. Really trying to hamper Bunny Fufu a bit here.
Totally, and we don't know if that Lulu's going in Seraph's hands or Gate's hand. Both of them have had a decent number of Lulu games. Seraph had been known to carry a lot of games over on Team Dragon Knights in the Challenger Split series last year. And even in the LCS, he was able to carry a few of them in the Summer Split.
Yeah.
But Lulu, not your typical carry champion. Gate is a support player in his off time, maybe even later this year.
Yeah.
So playing a support as champion in mid lane will not be too far outside of his wheelhouse.
That's true. Yeah, it's been interesting watching Gate's career because he was initially a mid laner and then he moved down to support. Now he's back to mid, and you hope his rust wasn't too much. We'll see, though. Lee Sin picked up for Bebe, who had actually been one of the brighter spots of Team Impulse so far. His Poppy in Game 1 was actually pretty good. Obviously, no one did very well against the Immortals matchup, but I am expecting good things out of Bebe despite being a substitute for the intended roster here. Impulse may have their intended starters later on, but right now, look at the next few picks of Cloud9, and Trundle plus Shen being picked up means we're likely seeing one of them supporting and one of them top.
Tanks. If I had to guess, right now we'd see Shen in the top lane and Trundle support. Trundle has been one of the most picked supports globally, and much more picked in support than any other position so far in this new competitive season. Plus, it's very nice to be able to pair with Trundle, throw him in, then he'll steal the resistances from whoever he wants because he'll be in range of pretty much everyone.
Absolutely.
Once he's tossed in, it's just a really nice synergy they can make there.
And it also leaves them the ability to play something like Corki mid right here. You've got a poking jungle, you've got 2 big tanks for the front line. If you wanted to play a heavy, long-duration backline like Double Marksman, this would actually work for Cloud9 here. So they are saving Jensen's pick for last. They're going to make sure that Lulu shows up in what lane it intended to be in. And as Lucian plus Lysandra gets picked up here, it still does allow these 2 mages to flex pick top or mid, Lulu and Lysandra, but Mash on Lucian, definitely one of the highest priority AD carries.
Absolutely, and we say flex pick because the Lysandra and Lulu can go top lane or mid lane, which somewhat devalues Cloud9 waiting until their very last pick to pick Jensen's mid laner. Since now, if he wants to counterpick, it would have to somehow counter Lulu and Lysandra, who have fairly different play styles. Lulu is more of a damage over time supportive mid, whereas Lysandra's very, very burst heavy.
There's always a concern as well is when the jungle ganks come through, how does that further change the matchup? Lysandra only has so much damage, but if you're locked down, Lee Sin's going to land all of his skill shots, and then you can get bursted out. So short range, unsafe mages get harder to pick as well, and Looks like he's looking at Ezreal. I had thought Corki, but Ezreal will be the pickup here for Jensen. So double marksman is the lineup plus a Nidalee support. This is a type of comp we've seen a lot over in Asia. Actually, really just a lot this season. Tanks in the top and jungle, or tanks in top and support rather, and then 3 big backliners.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be too surprised if Jensen switches over to cleanse at some point, just in case he gets locked down by Alessandra. But it will depend on what type of trading back and forth they go down. They have until, I believe, 20 seconds left in Champ Select to pick their summoner spells or who's actually playing which champion. They won't be able to tell the summoner spells from the other side. But if he wants kill pressure, he's going to be keeping the Ignite. I think that's rather risky.
It looks like he changed to heal just a second ago, so Jensen right now shows that he is on heal. Either way, the Team Impulse squad do have engage tools, of course. Lasana can go in, Braum can follow up. He's not normally primary engage, but Braum Lucian, one of the very scariest duo lanes in League of Legends, and against Trundle, who's a bit of a weaker laner, there's definitely a chance for the Impulse bottom lane to open up some opportunities, and of course we know Seraph can do well for himself also.
Yeah, I mean, just by a straight Champ Select portion here, they do have a team composition that can succeed, but Cloud9 has picked a almost more modernized team composition just based on the last few weeks of play we've seen, with 2 marksmen, tank line, and nice backline damage.
Well, we're going to see who can bring out that comp better than you guys at home. Head over to Twitter, let us know who's going to win. Tweet to @LOLEsports and vote for either hashtag TIP win or hashtag C9, where you can see the comps on your screen, the players on there as well, and we can see just who opens up week 2 properly here. Team Impulse on blue, Cloud9 on red. Here we go.
Yeah, and to speak a little bit to the double marksman trends we have been seeing across various regions, I have a metric that I made up called marksman per team. Normal teams, if the AD carry is the only marksman, you'll have 1 marksman per team.
Yeah.
The LPL in week 1 averaged 1.6 marksman per team, and the North American LCS averaged 1.05, meaning there was 1 game where 1 team had more than just the AD carry, and that was Keyray playing Kindred in the jungle. As of this week coming up, most regions are around 1.5. Europe even matched as well, even though they were lower last week. And here, we are at 1.5 because there's a double marksman on Cloud9 and a single marksman on Team Impulse. It is good in some instances because you get much faster turret pushing, strong wave clear, and a good early mid game, which teams are trying to do to snowball over the game. It finds weakness if the other team can tank up too much or have an assassin on the team that can then kill the 3 squishy targets they have. So it's actually an interesting matchup here, since Seraph will be able to kind of get through the tank line and get some burst onto the AD carries, so we could be in for a very snowbally game in one direction.
Yeah, absolutely. When you consider the potential Team Impulse tanks are likely Warrior, Enchant, Lee Sin, and a Braum who's got actually sort of low gold income. The tanks will be coming quite a bit later, and you talk about Seraph as the assassin, and you're right, that's kind of where that's going to come from. So as we get ourselves into the game, no deep wards to speak of. Otherwise, just very safe jungle starts. Both junglers starting at Gromp here. Lee Sin and Nidalee both getting that. Bebe slightly slower as he got much less aggressive of a leash, but all should be well. Refillable potion on both these guys.
I like the start that Cloud9 gave to Rush. Rush loves to take over the game on Nidalee. It's all about early jungling speed, early pressure, and if you can get a lead onto Bebe's Lee Sin, Rush is the type of jungler that knows how to punish it very easily. Cacao actually had a lot of success last year in the LPL, doing just that thing where his duo lane gives him a full pull on the first camp and slingshots him ahead in the jungle. As you can see right now, Rush already halfway through the Wolves, whereas Bebe just now finishing blue buff. Rush is a full camp ahead.
Yep.
A full camp ahead.
Full camp ahead. So good luck, Bebe, finding the early ganks to happen. Of course, Lee Sin, one of the more early game focused junglers, Nidalee can scale quite a bit harder, so even just getting farm, if neither person even ganks anything, it's still advantage to Rush here. Quick trinket comes down from Jensen. That's going to help him react to potential Lee Sin ganks. They expect him to finish his red before he goes for anything, but looks like Bebe has other plans as he walks up towards Scuttle and is probably too low to actually fight Nidalee for the red buff. And Rush is actually already done with that.
This will be interesting. It's only an 800 health Scuttle Crab, so he can finish it quite easily. Rush will unfortunately see the vision come towards him, but he's got him a little bit cornered.
Nice to Swift Lord hop out. Yeah. So if you count Scuttle as a camp, Rush is still 1 full camp ahead of Bebe right here. And looking for that play in the mid lane. Gate will dodge.
Very disciplined Rush, doesn't take minions while running through the mid lane. Rush of last year would have taken minions.
And Gate would have felt the pressure of that.
Yeah, so what happened here is Rush recognized Bebe didn't have his red buff when he took the Scuttle Crab, so knowing he has the double buff advantage on him, he immediately wants to invade. But this is very dangerous because his lanes aren't necessarily in position to cut them off. Bunny Fufu and Sneaky tried in the bottom lane, and also we can see Jensen collapsing over. So this is a play completely orchestrated by Rush and the vision he gained at the Scuttle Crab.
And now Gate kind of the odd man out. He walked through and gets poked down by the Ezreal, and because Rush is around, Gate can't fight back for fear of getting leapt on. But Seraph has already roamed up. He's had the push lead in this top lane. He's up CS and pushed into the turret. So can he look for the play right here? Rush still counter jungling, but he's got to, again, be careful. Bit of a 1v3, and Jensen is now walking forward. He's already burned Arcane Shift. Seraph did not go for the Flash W. Don't think they had the damage to kill him anyway.
Yeah, especially with Flash and heal on Jensen. No cleanse, but honestly, the way Jensen was cheating on that, he was aware that they could have a gank coming. And Bebe, not willing to fully concede this jungle to Rush, but he is losing a lot of time. And Rush taking a red on top of a ward. Mainly, he's making sure to get the experience of the small camps first as well, though, in case he's missing out later.
Oh, Bebe gets it, flashes, and gets his Krug back. Honestly, that's what you say worth it in all chat for. That was nice by Bebe.
It was nice because he's able to secure his blue buff, but he only got half the experience from the camp.
I know.
That's exactly the reason why Rush was taking the small lizards next to the Brambleback. And I commend Bebe for not getting his red stolen, but now he's nearly 2 levels behind.
Just like, as a substitute jungler, getting invaded on by Rush and being like, I'm going to steal in front of your face.
That's
Let's
a bold
do this.
play. That's a bold play.
I'm instantly a Bebe fan now. That's just fun. This is the kind of things I really enjoy about League of Legends. You're just like, yeah, I'm going to take this back from you. Rush is ahead. Like, don't get me wrong. Rush is winning the jungle game so far. I'm just happy that Bebe went for that is all.
Yeah, it's the worst feeling, too, when a Nidalee's invading your jungle and your teammates can't help you. Like, he's just sitting in your red buff. Your team's like, you know what, dog? There's too much experience. I'm going to lose in lane if I keep fiddling with this super annoying Nidalee.
You think I'm going to stun him? He's going to pounce away. Like, nothing's going to happen. So.
Exactly.
It makes total sense. Rush played it right. Bebe made the best of a terrible situation. And the bot lane is fighting back and forth. Ken and Mash, I want to watch a little bit of how close up Bunny Fufu is playing to see if he could continue to exert pressure here. But Seraph, of course, has Bebe coming in. Calls has some respect. The potential engage. Thunderlord's triggered.
Shen is so difficult to gank, especially without level 6 on Seraph. Even just with the Doran shield, the innate tankiness with the level 1 W on Shen to have the shield, and the fact that he can taunt away, just makes it extremely difficult. I think the only way Bebe goes in there is if balls would let her taunt.
The bot lane matchup is so interesting as well, though. You see like how difficult it is for either side to really go in. You don't want to jump into the minion line because they'll do a lot of damage to you. Pillar can, of course, block off retreat routes, and well, Sneaky missed his Q, so the damage wasn't there to win the trade. And both backed off anyway. Jensen holding basically equal to Gate right here. Both have recalled once Tear the Goddess versus Frostfang. If Gate can land E auto attack, that'll actually instantly trigger all 3 bits of Frostfang as help fix the actual passive damage. Will trigger 1 stack.
Will also trigger Thunderlords.
That's true, yeah.
History of the Gate.
One and the same. As Jensen just did there. E auto attack Q. Bebe's done a really good job of at least controlling, maybe not for now. Oh, this is going to be pretty bad. Rush pushing around. Bebe takes a chunk of damage down to 100. Now he's got nowhere to go. First blood for Rush. Great job right there. Cloud9 get the first blood.
Yeah, that's just a huge burst of damage. Not even going with the combat smite. Rush with a tracker's knife. And against the 2 longswords, Bebe recognizes because the spear landed, he had to just turn tail immediately. And that, honestly, is the 3-minute delayed payback for getting his red. Because he could not flash away once Rush landed that spear. Rush knew it, got aggressive, takes off.
I still maintain it was worth it, right? As much as it totally backfired, and you're right.
Red buff greater than life.
Potentially. Either way, Jensen got a nice, convenient blue handoff. Rush handed that over to him conveniently, and it's going to make mid lane even easier now for Jensen, who only got the assist on the first blood, but will still be pretty happy here. Plenty of push power. Of course, the Q now reduces cooldowns by 1.5 seconds, so CDR scales even better on him. Blue buff also gives AP per level, so his spells are more powerful, and until Gate can get a blue buff, you can just see how far back he has to play, and it gives Jensen so much time to roam around, help the lanes, help the team. This is going to be a safe recall for him without missing any CS.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting blue buff early on the Ezreal is super, super important. He actually goes Sheen next, so really just heavy spec into mana and just getting the Qs to last hit the minions. Jensen not necessarily in full combat mode yet. He needs a little bit of time to turn on for that Iceborne Gauntlet Muramana build.
Nice play by Balls. Chunks Seraph down to about half.
Still just with Thorn Shield. He's making that aggressive play, knowing that Seraph has a buy up on him. Seraph already buying a Fiendish Codec, but this shows you how much difficulty Lissandra can have against tanks in these matchups.
Yeah. Seraph is able to push, so we're seeing Seraph roam sometimes. He had tried once for mid. He killed that pink ward right there. You can see the rubble right there underneath Rush. So Seraph has made... Oh, yeah, there he goes. He realizes. Seraph has made some attempts at plays, but he's not been able to really convert that push lead into anything just yet. Rush gets retribution for the pink ward going down. And once again, lets Jensen get all the CS. What a nice jungler. I've never encountered that in solo queue. Neither have any of you.
Neither is anyone playing with Rush other than Jensen in a pro game. This is not...
This is I's doing, you know?
Yeah. But honestly, the majority of the gold lead for Cloud9 is actually concentrated onto Rush with his absurd counter jungling. It is inherent in Nidalee matchups, though. Nidalee farms much faster than Lee Sin, and we're just seeing Rush execute the champion the way it is supposed to be executed. Again,
on the red buff.
the battle over A.
On the spawn. Ken
This time
and Baby
they're
are coming.
a little faster, though.
Rush wins the smite war, but he's going to get knocked
up.
up. This is a bit too aggressive. Ken gets the kill. Unfortunate there that the support got it. Red buff from maybe not the best, but Rush punished.
And we have seen this actually frequently. The one international event Cloud9 has played at this year, non-LCS, IEM Cologne, Rush got in a lot of trouble over-invading on Nidalee, pressing a little bit too hard without the backup of his team. And even though his early game invade could not be collapsed upon, when Braum has ultimate and Lee Sin has ultimate and the waves are not putting immediate, your lanes are not putting immediate pressure on the turret, absolutely Rush is going to get collapsed upon, and he just gets totally blown up and punished for that risk.
And then with no jungler and no Shen ultimate and no Shen teleport, they can go for this dive right here. Cloud9 is... Oh no, Baby misses it. But Seraph can still flash in for a stun. Rush has come around just now. Oh no, the Q misses from Ken. And an easy save by Sticky. Bunny right back in. They want this. Bebe's already dead. And here comes the engage. Rush will go down. It's a 1-for-1 because of the re-engage. Jensen looking for the ulti, looking for some damage. Will not tag anyone meaningful here.
Bold call to go back in and essentially a 3v4. Balls could not match because he had burned his Shen ultimate on the prior fight, but Cloud9 was feeling confident because also Lee Sin and Braum ultimate were down from the prior kill. And yeah, it ends up turning into a trade there with Rush going down as a squishy target to Seraph's Lissandra ultimate. So really a much more competitive game from Team Impulse here, making a few plays and trying to react to the bullying that Rush is trying to do in the jungle.
I mean, if you told me, you know, this was going to be a very close game after watching last Sunday's matchup against Immortals, yeah, it's like, good luck keeping your sort of mental faculties together. But honestly, Impulse, right there in gold, right there in kills, equal in pretty much every metric that matters. Seraph's doing well against Balls, etc. And
yeah,
Impulse have a real shot here.
Oh, and once again, no cleanse to get rid of that.
Whoa, that was great. Oh, he could have chased me.
He would have kicked while the Glitter Lance was going. That would have been a kill, but he'd already burned Flash, and Jensen still had heal. But still, very close to getting a kill there. And like you said, through 12 minutes, a very close game because Rush has been punished for his over-aggression. And there are also some slow to turn on builds that Cloud9 has. Like
very true.
When Jensen hits the Trinity Force Power Spike or the Iceborne Gauntlet, whichever one he decides to go for, it is a huge boost for Cloud9 and probably when they're going to be starting to make plays. Because at that point, they're going to be able to group and siege with their multiple 80 carries and Trundle pillars, and it's going to be difficult for Team Impulse to counter that one.
Absolutely.
So for now, Team Impulse still in it, but it looks like Cloud9 still with a pretty significant upper hand.
Totally agree. It's going to require some more effort by Impulse to get through these Tier of the Goddess builds and actually push past those scaling champions. If I had to guess, Jensen probably is going for Iceborne. I believe anyone who goes Tier just goes into that full blue build style. I don't think I've seen Triforce Tier in a long time.
It was last year that we were seeing
but it's always up to them.
And Iceborne has absolutely been the new age Ezreal build, so to speak. With the increased CDR on that item, makes
returning from Season 3
basically much better. 20% CDR.
Yeah.
Gauntlet.
Super strong. And of course, the cheap cooldown boots are nice as well. So we'll see what Cloud9's up to with their mid game. Balls has been able to recall once, going towards already finished Boots of Swiftness and the general match for this of Spectre's Cowl and either probably Spirit Visage, but it could be Banshee's Veil. You never know. We're still waiting on actual Blade of the Rune King to be done for Sneaky, so match ready finishing. Essence Reaver does have a bit of an item lead.
Yeah.
Lucian is very scary. His growth is actually very, very smooth. This item's good on its own. Next item he picks up is going to be great as well. He's going to kind of continue to scale quite nicely throughout this game.
He's
not being held down in CS.
Lucian has been the most played AD carry across all regions.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is because of the smooth power scaling. A lot of AD carries either had the mid-game spike and then, oh, if it gets to 40 minutes, they're weak. Or they're weak early and then strong late. At the moment, Lucian is just good throughout the entire game as well as possessing good mobility. Here we go.
A lot of damage, great early flash by Sneaky to get away from the ward hop, but there's still some danger here. Useful back in Toronto, who's jumped right back into the team. Bebe dangerously low. Rush wants in, gets knocked up by Ken. And no one's going to hit the Ezra ulti here as the team backs off. Lots of summoners lost by Impulse, though.
This time, though, it's Balls who arrives in the bottom lane and Seraph who can get the push back up, so I'd still favor Tip after that interaction because more investment was granted by Cloud9, even though it was Tip going aggressive on the game.
Actually risky for Impulse to go aggressive in the first place. Seraph did not have teleport, and they knew Balls could have shown up, so just even the choice to make that play was so dangerous, and I think they're lucky to not get burned. But as you say, Seraph is going to be able to get a lot of damage to this turret. Will not stop Rush from getting his own red buff, but still some minions lost by Balls.
It was an unsafe call for Team Impulse, and even the execution wasn't perfect because they kicked a support that was just going to bait out the Fate's call from Sneaky anyways. But at the end of the day, Rush didn't execute, and another thing, Tip gets away with it.
Limble's going to go with her own blue buff as well. Nice attempt. Hey, Jensen stole away about a quarter of the XP from that camp, so still, something stolen away. 11-11, though, mid lane close enough to equal. And we're just still playing the waiting game, the scaling game. This is a somewhat less decisive Cloud9 than we had seen on Sunday. Their highest tutelage, and some of that could just be Rush getting burned by getting his invade stifled. Some of that could be Bunny still needing the experience.
And it is a story we've seen numerous times. When High is not in the game, it seems like Cloud9 just doesn't play with the same sense of purpose. Bunny caught out. Sneaky
almost in range. Not cooldown. Ah, did not have Fate's Call available. That nerf went through months ago, and if this were like 5.12, Bunny would be alive right now.
Yeah, not a good second showing so far for Bunny as a shot caller for this Cloud9 team. 16 minutes in against who many consider to be the worst team in the LCS, and they are up 600 gold and down a dragon.
Well, Cloud9 still waiting for the scaling, as you mentioned, so at least the tier can keep stacking and the world can keep turning. But Bebe, 100% kill participation. He and Ken actually tied for that honor here. Despite being the two of the substitutes on this squad are actually showing up pretty well in terms of making things happen. Warrior and Chad, Boots of Swiftness, Bebe will be all the way around the map all the time. We'll see what else he can do on this Lee Sin.
Absolutely. He's been pretty heavily harassed and overfarmed by Rush, but they have been successfully able to stop him. Jensen didn't see that.
Sin gets ulted. He's going to die for sure. Seraph gets the kill. A great teleport play, and Balls actually misses the flash. He flashed over Ken, missed the taunt, and this could be so dangerous. He's trying to run, but he will be killed. 2 more for Impulse. They are beating Cloud9.
5 kills to 2, making the gold even. So the kills and the TP plays have equalized the farm advantage that Rush put up in the jungle thanks to that Nidalee pick. And now Team Impulse grouping up to push down the mid lane. Cloud9 looks out of sorts.
And it really is Rush the reason there's a gold lead here for Cloud9. As the first turret goes down, Impulse definitely in the lead here. Rush's individual gold is up like 1,500 over Bebe, and the rest of the team is just advantaged. Yeah,
pretty natural for Nidalee there. Jensen sees the claw at the last second, tries to flash away, but the R had already been clicked. No cleanse, so once it lands, he is for sure dead. And then Cloud9 thought they were going to be able to turn this play, but, Rush, Balls had already missed the taunt flash when we went down to that play, and since Balls was the main tank and there wasn't follow-up from that play, he had to strictly run away. For Cloud9 to execute this composition properly, they need to be able to group in a lane, get spears down, get Ezreal Qs down. It's still going to be until Jensen completes that Iceborne Gauntlet, because then he can land a Q, and that makes it easier for Rush to land a spear, and that's when we'll really see the poke coming through. But until that moment, Team Impulse is going to be trying to make those punishing plays with Seraph. Teleport down, grant him to kill mid.
Yep. So to give Cloud9 some credit, though, as well, I suppose, that now that they are aware that Seraph TP play was already done, that punish already happened, there's a TP advantage for Balls over Seraph.
And they push.
And the other three can group up, push the bot lane down. They know they have TP advantage. And so what can C9 do over the next 3 minutes will let me know how good Bunny Fufu is at abusing this kind of advantage.
Absolutely. And they already did pretty much the best thing they could. They pushed down the bottom lane. This time, this is a strange point in the game, actually, because they've already pushed down the bottom tier turret. The next move would be mid lane. But in pushing down mid lane, it leaves a window for MASH to take the bottom turret and just trade the turret they'd already gotten. And they might not even be able to push the mid lane down because at this point with a Rod of Ages and the Spooky Ghost completed, Gate has spectacular wave clear. And they're slow on the rotation top lane here. So actually Cloud9 recalled after that bottom turret take and just cost them a top turret of their own.
Great by Team Impulse. The only player on this roster in their intended position is MASH from Impulse. Everyone else on that roster is subbing in some capacity.
Yeah, as far as who was supposed to be on their starting roster to start the year. Seraph is a top laner and a pretty good one. He's now settled off in the
CDK.
Team Dragon Knights Challenger team, but he's subbing here in the LCS, and he's putting together a pretty powerful build at the moment, assassination-wise.
Yeah.
This is exactly what they want. He's got an Abyssal Scepter and Sorcerer's Shoes, which gives him the 20 magic resist reduction as well as the 15 magic penetration, which means the people he's going to be hitting like Jensen, who are sitting on magic resist blue, so 42 magic resist, that'll take it down to 7 or less because there are still masteries for Seraph that has that, so near true damage.
Yeah,
and
he's doing true damage to 3 people on Cloud9.
Sneaky when he's near the Aegisaur has 52, but he's sitting at 42 when he is not. So basically Seraph has the build for optimized damage right now on Lasan.
Seraph is sitting at 30 magic pen plus Abyssal. Like, he is going to rip through people. And
right, not to mention his runes.
So yeah, well, that's considering the entire build-up.
He's taken the 42 magic people down to 0.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. Well, Balls, of course, has enough MR to survive. Spirit Visit, of course, is in. He's going to slowly scale up as best that he can, continue to hold that lane, but it's just going equal right now. Cloud9, small gold deficit. Turret's close here. MASH roaming up to knock down Balls. You can see that Seraph just does not have a lot of damage against Balls, but MASH might have a little bit. He's really pushing in. Bit of the cooling comes through. Balls will survive it, but that is lane pressure on bottom lane. There's nothing much for C9 to do. This will be a turret kill for Impulse.
Yeah, it looks like Cloud9 has fallen back on the pressure a little bit. You would think not the smartest ultimate by Seraph, but it ends up instituting another turret trade. They put a lot bottom lane. Sneaky and Bunny Fufu are already top lane, and they're just going to keep cycling here. This is not the type of trading game we were expecting from Cloud9 against Team Impulse. Looking like a worthy adversary here. With the Iceborne Gauntlet completed, will be around the time you want Cloud9 to turn on and start getting this comeback going.
Yeah. If Cloud9 wins, I can already see the post-game interview. Oh, no, hold on. Balls in a bad spot. Jumping away. Still the stun will land. There's a follow-up from Braum. There's no stuns yet to have right now, but he's forced to flash away, and now Seraph is low. Rush will not choose to go in here. And all is well. Baby pushes forward. He wanted a beta flash, maybe. Nothing else picked up, though. Ken stops the true shot barrage. And one recall's already come through. Seraph does have teleport, but he has no wards. He does have minions to jump to. Will they keep chasing Ken? Will something happen here? They're still chasing in. Forced to flash to get away. Now Bebe slowed by the Iceborne Gauntlet. A Q from Ken buys some time away from Balls. Another Javelin comes in. Bebe tanks it, I think on purpose, and then jumps over to MASH. Iceborne will miss this time around. Also a bit more health. Now Gate has joined the fray. Bunny is here, so a 4v4. And Seraph still is not TPing in just yet.
It's behind them.
He's coming in right now. What's he gonna grab? He's gonna get Jensen. 6th kill of the game for Impulse. Up goes Balls, just barely missing the wild growth to stop the jump over the wall, but Bebe still wants more. He's gonna find Bunny. There is no Callista here. He's forced to flash to stay alive. And Team Impulse find another kill unanswered.
This game is a little bit crazy. Much crazier than we expected, for sure. That was just to back it up a little bit. Team Impulse not really understanding their damage potential on Balls. We can see they don't have much damage, and if Cloud9 gets a frontline team fight, they'd actually have time to do damage. Then they over-chase, and they get into position for the Seraph flank to come around the backside, and again, he zeroes down onto Jensen. I still think Jensen should have brought Cleanse, but now he's at the point of the game where he can buy a QSS. So if Seraph pulls off that play once again, we can see a QSS and then an Arcane Shift away from Jensen and probably not the same type of kill potential they've had on thus far. So Cloud9 trying to reactively get back into this one.
Yeah.
And I really wonder what type of preparation and mindset goes into this game from Cloud9's side. Because they watched Team Impulse lose in 18 minutes, 2-4.
Yep.
And they're thinking, all right, easy. Let's put in Bunny. He's going to call us to a quick victory. We're going to feel good about this one. Is probably the mindset they have going in. And as soon as that doesn't happen, being mentally prepared for something you really didn't expect to happen can be very difficult here. Now they're down 6 kills to 2. The plays aren't going their way. Team Impulse is actually quite coordinated. It's important for Cloud9 to be able to regain their heads in this game and make smart, coordinated plays with proper warding and proper item builds. So far, 1 QSS done, second on the way. They're going to try and stop the Cassandra.
Okay. Jensen, good job with the
Shift away
arcane
just in
shift.
time.
Yeah, and he times it really well also because there's so much gameplay around like starting the cast time in time. Bebe could actually have like R flashed, and once you're rooted by the initial like half of the R cast time, you actually can no longer cast the arcane shift as well. So clever timing. Jensen's okay, all is well. Another nice block by Ken with the shield.
Yeah.
Really on top of his game, but Cloud9 are here to defend.
Cloud9 has a pretty heavy poke comp as well that's been nicely blocked by Ken's Rom shields. And at this point, they're starting to group up as 5. We could be seeing some pretty destructive team fights that would ultimately decide this game.
Bunny puts the pillar up to try to get that fight to happen. Of course, this team is all about poking people, but Mash steals away the blue. Now Balls is gonna get rooted. Is this the right target, though? Baby's still going in. The culling over the wall, and they get 1 kill picked up. But now, with the tank gone, what can C9 do? Sneaky is rooted in place. They've already picked up 2. Will they find the 3rd? Jensen's getting hit up. There's the kill. It's already 3 for Team Impulse. The stun of the Jensen QSS not gonna be enough. A triple kill for Mash, and Team Impulse are slaughtering Cloud9.
4 for 0. Cloud9 is not setting up poke before fights. Their tanks are dying while their squishes are not doing damage, and Team Impulse is running through them. Now 10 kills to 2, and Team Impulse have taken control of this game.
This is absolutely ridiculous. Impulse with somewhat consider 4 subs right now, moving in and doing the best they can, pushing Cloud9 to the limit. Now they've got to make sure that Rush cannot steal Baron. Gate is on the case to stop him down. Here's the penalty. No, Gate's got to be careful. He's taking so much damage. Another Javelin comes in.
Rush wants to steal.
Rush could hop. It's going to be close. It is going to be outspited. Bebe gets it. He secures it for the team. Now Balls and Rush stuck in the pit, but Impulse are very, very low. Rush gets taken down, but a 2-man stun from Balls into the pillar, and it's going to be the ulti not quite landing from Jensen. A triple kill for Balls. Would you believe it? Cloud9 slinking back in.
It ain't over till it's over, that's for sure. A super bold Baron call from Team Impulse, trying to extend from their 4-man team fight win despite all being very low on health. And when you're taking Baron without a good tank, you end up taking a whole bunch of damage because there's no resist source to stop all that from coming through. Cloud9 uses Rush and Balls' aggression to not stop the Baron, but have a steal opportunity. That was a 50-50 smite that Bebe was able to win. And then Balls picked up a triple kill on the backside because look at how low everyone on Team Impulse is here. And honestly, the timing of Rush's smite, I can't fault him for that because he was trying to smite at the same time Bebe would when the second part of the Q would be executed. Here though, Glitterland's Thunderlords culling into Mash, killing him, and Bunny and Balls come through. I love the sidestep by Mash there. He did all he could to stay alive, and it just wasn't enough for the soon-to-be super tank from Cloud9 Shen.
Yeah.
We got ourselves a game.
We got ourselves a very interesting game, and as much as we've been seeing the kill lead balloon for Team Impulse, up until a lot of that Baron antics right there, the actual gold was within 1,000. If you watch purely the gold graph in the post-game screen, it's going to be very close for much of this game. Still, much better than many people would have expected for this matchup. Still, many props to Team Impulse, and now with Baron, they can probably push farther. But this game has been quite close. It's been within 10% for pretty much the entirety of this game. So this is a winnable game by Cloud9, and it's up to shot calling from a small deficit.
It's also a minimum. It's also a very winnable game for Team Impulse.
Of course.
They're the ones with the lead. So assuming standard expectations, like if you took the nameplates off of all of these players and you didn't know who was fighting against whose team and all the the prior experience of seeing these players play, you'd think Team Impulse has a great chance of this game.
Yeah.
2 Dragon
80%.
lead, 1 turret lead. Their 80 carry is fed, so he can tread through the tanks. They're not as vulnerable to poke because they have hard initiation to stop the poke from coming through, and their hard initiators have proven successful so far this game. At this point, it's all about Team Impulse just continuing to execute something we've never really seen from what is essentially a full sub-squad. Has a full sub-squad ever won a game in the North American LCS? It might happen here.
Definitely my... Ooh, baby! Trying to bait some flashes out. Ward hops away, but no one was really going to pull that trigger. Or had the flash to burn, actually, since only really 2 people had it up. But Impulse knocked down top lane tier 2. Mid lane tier 2, the next target here. They're sending Seraph to clear the wave. And the rest of the team can show up soon. We just saw Jensen burn True Shot Barrage to clear bottom lane and keep that from pushing in towards the team. So they'll have a respite on that side of the map. More poke coming through. A pillar to buy some time and land as much poke as possible. But this team is not going to be refrained. They're going to push right in. And here comes mid lane tier 2. 6 turrets to 3.
Yeah.
2 dragons to 0.
And Rush and Jensen are out of mana. So even if they did want to fight on this, they couldn't chase through, which is why Team Impulse so freely pushed forward on that one. They knew that a fight coming wouldn't be punishing. This will be an easy Dragon 3, most likely.
Yeah, should absolutely be. They didn't take too much damage. And they still are wearing the Baron buff, I believe. So it's really not a situation you'd really want to jump into here. Oh, okay, Baron did time out after all, but very smart of them to not overpush. They didn't take any damage, really meaningful damage during that whole sieging situation, so they were able to retreat, pick something up, and then recall. And even the minion lanes are in a good enough spot that there's no easy pushes to be had for C9.
Really not. This is so unexpected. And it's just going to add to the growing concern that Cloud9 is a completely different team without High in any capacity. From every role. Jensen, 0 and 3 on Ezreal, hasn't been able to provide significant damage. Rush, over-aggressive, not getting the backup from his team. Sneaky, able to play in lane, but without the team backing him up, what can he do in team fights? And then for Team Impulse, after watching them last week, many people were calling the 0-18. This could be their first win only in the 3rd game.
Into Jensen already, but Seraph can't quite one-shot him through the Mikhail's Crucible, so he will survive for now. But Rush is in a pretty dangerous position. Had to burn Zonius to get away, but a nice knock-up by Ken. Buys some time, Baby goes in, but a nice ulti by Balls buys the time back. And now here comes the engage once more. Bunny Poop is staying alive. Ken and Bebe, the tanks in the front line. Balls, as you mentioned, the super tank, taking hits as well, but will not quite go down. Bebe does not follow the cue. Lee Syndrome does not penalize him this time around. No kills.
No kills indeed, and really not enough damage from Tip to cut through the tank line of Cloud9, but then also not enough damage from just the Nidalee and the Kalista, since Jensen was pushed out of the fight to punish any of those really bold moves by Team Impulse. Because that's a Lissandra going in with Zhonya's an Abyssal, so a slightly more tanky build, but really still just a mage flying in the middle of your team and sitting there for quite a while. But because of the QSS that had to be built up by Sneaky so early, the damage just isn't there right now.
And what's interesting is the actual tank line of Team Impulse is not even that big. Bebe, who's a Swiftness and Alacrity enchant. He then went for full Maw of Malmortius, so he still didn't buy any armor for like the next 6,000 gold of his build. He's now starting Dead Man's Plate, which is like the first true tank item here. So, of course, only 2 deaths, working out for him just fine, of course. But you know, a lot of aggressive builds from the Team Impulse squad, and they're gonna find Bunny one more time. Fate's Call was down still, so Bunny was forced to flash yet again. He was not able to be bailed out by his AD carry.
No, I mean, Cloud9 was trying to set up a split push, but the mobility granted by Gates Lulu is stopping the non-Shen people on the team from playing safely. Gate really dominating the map here on his mid lane Lulu. And stopping the split push really easily.
Just pulls the wave over. It will eventually unleash. Minions no longer follow into the river or jungle, so Gate takes him on a little merry-go-round and chunks him out. Level 17 on this Lulu, who's earned about 1,100 gold from his Frost Queen's claim. That gold income has contributed quite a bit to the coffers of Team Impulse.
Yeah. And to even get back to the discussion we had in Champ Select, the double marksman team from Cloud9, those types of team compositions can be extremely volatile because they do have the early mid-game advantages once they get a few items and they can start a turret snowball very easily with so many ranged champions, but their 2 weaknesses, assassins and tanks, if they fall behind those things, they don't have very many ways of catching back up to them. And so far, the assassin right there with Seraph is far ahead of the AD carries, and he's been really crushing them thus far. Now with 2 Mercurial Scimitars actually being completed, the next team fight should be fairly interesting.
And it's a bit thankful for Cloud9 that not too much was lost during that transition period of buying these 3,800 gold items that allowed them to survive the Lissandra damage. So we'll see how well C9 can do in round 2, where their carries can stay alive a bit better. Of course, Locket already done here for Bunny Fufu as well, should help them survive a bit longer as well. When you upgrade from Aegis to Locket or Banner, it's worth another 5 MR on the Aura. So 15 Magic is now to his teammates. Of course, Mash has been doing wonderfully. He's got 6 kills and plenty of farm, so of course armor is also required, which I guess Jensen thankfully has, as he's blue Ezreal, but
Yeah.
there's a ton of damage to open Impulse.
Cloud9 hoping for that late game fight where Jensen can land a bunch of Qs on people in a chase scenario and run them down. But honestly, Team Impulse, if Gabe can stay alive, will be able to outrun the blue build Ezreal. Spooky Ghosts go up. They're looking to force either a flash or a Fate's Call on Bunny, because Bunny is the one, really the only one capable of checking these Baron forces with any type of resiliency.
Yeah, there's only 2 tanks, and of course one's right now split pushing with balls, so as long as Sneaky is around, he can save Bunny Fufu, but that is a 2-minute cooldown. Once again, the attempt for Baron. TIP don't know what to do to push themselves farther ahead, so they just do what every North American team does, and they go for Baron.
Yeah.
T9 shows up, Bunny gonna get found, and here comes Sarah from the backside! Oh, and so much disrupt! They've already picked up 2! A double for Bebe, a 3rd kill coming in now for Mash. It's only 2 alive for C9. Rush running, Gate finds him inside the Baron pit. That'll be his own kill, getting revenge on his old teammate. Gate says, hello, welcome to Team Impulse, guys. And now Balls is alone, running for his life inside his base, and that means Impulse can just push the turrets down. 35 seconds on most of the respawns, and Impulse might have actually done it, might have actually taken down Cloud9, and as the team groups up to push down, that is exactly what they do. They looked so low on Sunday. Perfect game in under 20 minutes. Next week, they come back, they bounce back, and they take down Cloud9, only giving up 5 kills.
Coming into the day, I still can't believe this happened. Just with the way the game progressed, Team Impulse looked pretty good. And Seraph, who, as of pretty much yesterday, had never played with these guys, had good TPs.
Oh,
it is so hard. We've seen teams stick together for years and never be able to capitalize properly on teleports as a team. Yet that last fight was hard carried by Seraph teleporting in from base with home guard bonus and just messing everybody up by himself. He took pretty much the entire Cloud9 team to half just with that teleport. And at that point, the game was over.
There are 2 players, I think, that
I
are
am stunned.